programs and courses that Gurudev designed and has blessed us with in Art of Living, all the breathing, meditation, etc. So I have personally experienced the value of it. We all went through COVID, was so difficult. Deepa ji will agree and ma'am will agree from AIMS that we all suffered on campuses. Our kids, students suffered. So the value of mental well-being cannot be overemphasized. So I think all falls in place when the mind is fine, and I think that's the genesis, or no, that's the source of it. So yeah, just some opening ideas, and would love to hear from Deepa ji and from Deepa also, if I can call you. Sure. Yeah, and back to you.
Ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for the excellent opening. While you would, again, this was a surprise for me, so I would speak what I stand for. I strongly believe the word empowerment, which people are using, for organizations are using, we empower women. The first thing is, women don't need to be empowered, we are empowered, right? It's high time we stop using those words where we are giving the control in somebody else's hand. And yes, you can bring some policies which are enablers, but you don't empower us unless we choose to be empowered, and we empower ourselves. So this mindset change will happen when we start changing the words that we use. Coming from a communication background, I strongly believe words do play a role on motivating and demotivating people. The other day I was reading a word, shiro. So apparently it comes he, she, so hero becomes shiro. I said, why, when did hero word become a gender specific word? It was always gender neutral. Just because you're calling a woman a hero, why should you make it a shiro? Why can't a woman be called a hero? So, and it pains me when women around me also do the same. It pains me when somebody opens the door for me because I'm a woman and I walk ahead like a queen and say thank you. No, why can't I say thank you after you? So that those fundamental changes which we need to bring in ourselves, I keep talking to my students, and I know Bhavisha is my student, and probably she is coming for the second session of managerial communication, again a refresher course, which I have been talking to my students, that it's high time you stop this hypocrisy. When people invite you on Women's Day, ask you to be panelist, ask them, the remaining 364 days, was I not an expert to be on your panel? Why do you put me on a pedestal on 8th March? Right? Diversity cannot be glorified. It has to be embraced. Embrace it. People don't want to embrace it. People want to glorify it. And it works well with organizations where they get a masala for 2 months at least for the social branding. When they do Pride Month celebrations and when they do Women's Day celebrations. 2 mahine ka chutti, right? They don't have to, they just have to post different stories, different lenses. But that's not what it works. If you really want to do something, is it possible for you to have on your board equal number of women? Yes, then you are doing something, right? So I truly, since ma'am was talking about Gurudev, you're talking about Sri and the art of living. For me, the art of living is IIM Kozhikode. I learned there. I was not familiar with the art of living. I met Gurudev also on one of the during one of the conferences at IMK. But even otherwise, I see the seeds that IIM Kozhikode sowed in terms of having supernumerary seats for women. It opened doors for all IIMs, and now everybody is following suit. The director again, he was the pioneer when he started in 2012, the 50 seats without compromising on quality. He said, I'm not going to give the existing seats. So we are not propagating quota, but we are saying we will have supernumerary seats, additional 50 for women. And it really clicked. Probably that was a time when, before that, there were less women in engineering, less women came for MBA, And so that step changed the entire thing. The other IIMs, IITs, and I see those small little things really made a difference. When we were children, I think science, maths, जो बहुत अच्छा पढ़ते थे वो साइंस करते थे, डॉक्टर्स एंड इंजीनियर्स बनते थे. Those who were not as good as them did bachelors in commerce, and those who could not do anything did humanities. Right? That was the trend. Actually, that was the trend. So unfortunate that it took us 20 years to talk about liberal studies, which was always propagated in the West. Right? In the West, you always had courses to choose from, and you could do a bachelor's in maybe 5 different courses and then pursue your career in one of those. But we slowly came out of it. It took us 20 years, but we came out. Now, I was talking to Dr. She was talking about how now even art is appreciated, which was not 2 decades ago. So what you are doing is something which most women should be doing, because it's high time we stop talking about women being best. We have always been propounding upon gender equality and equity. Right? So when you say feminism, it's not about one being the best or one being better than the other. In fact, the word perfection was never coined for human beings. Whether it's any gender, as she said, now it's no more men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never coined for human beings. Perfection is for a process, a service, or a product where you have a checklist. You tick the check boxes and you become perfect. I've never come across a recipe for a perfect human being. So in this world of flaws, imperfections, sometimes we run behind our own ideals, our own created cocoons, and that's where we get confused. Now, sometimes I feel our next generation is much more sorted than all of us, because they are ready to accept. They don't hesitate taking medical help if there is something which is associated with their mental health. Up to our generation, there is still hesitation. दूसरों के साथ हो सकता है, मेरे साथ नहीं. Right? It can happen to others' kids, not to mine. That is still there. But when your own students, your own kids say, I think I'm not good, I need to talk to somebody. You see, okay, this is what change we were always fighting for, and now it is happening. So for me, feminism is equality. For me, it is equity. Ma'am said most of us have been fortunate. Yes, I'm fortunate now. But I come from a very humble background. It's a small town girl story, which many of us have. And it wasn't easy for me. Right? It wasn't easy, and as she said, when you say discrimination, I will not use that word, because that was never the case at my workplace. However, I found it's not the organization, it's the colleagues' mindsets that matter the most. And when the leadership is strong enough to believe in equality and equity, that's where women like us thrive. We have ideas, we can do even better than our male counterparts and every other counterpart. But there should be somebody to have that confidence. And when that confidence comes, we do battle it out. But even now I find women always have to prove themselves. And if the same thing is done by a male counterpart, even 1/10 of it is done, the applaud is loud enough. So I guess we also need to keep our eyes open.
Ask you here, do you feel sometimes, have you experienced the point you just made that women have to work harder or prove harder?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that have you experienced that women around you are tougher on you than men?
Okay, I was about to come to that, which I call the queen bee syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So the queen bee syndrome is something which is pulling other women down. And when women get so-called responsibility, which the organizations might call empowered, when you get a position, how much have you tried to bring other women to similar positions is where your success lies. Or probably have you been a part of the same league of mindsets where you have promoted somebody because you want diversity or because you really believed in that person's caliber? So I take pride because whenever I get an opportunity, I try to bring every gender on the forefront. And I do it because it did not happen with me. When I was at the receiving end, I was not trusted upon by another woman. So I decided I'll do exactly opposite. I'll not go in the revenge mode. I will do what was not done to me. And it has paid off well. My earning through these 15, 20 years of educational career is my students. Right? And I always take pride because it's no airport, no market, no mall where I'm not recognized. And somebody comes and says, "Ma'am," and I'm like, "Okay, yes, I know you are my student. I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name." So they say, "Ma'am, it's enough. We remember you." So I think that small change that we make as educationists, I don't call the doctoral, your profession, medicine profession, and our profession as a profession. It's actually a vocation, because when we are on a vocation, we try to bring out a change around ourselves, right? Because you change lives, we change lives. You touch people and heal them. It's a therapeutic touch. We touch people and heal them because that is healing touch. And I guess, yeah, I'm happy to be an educator. And that's what for me is complementarity. I don't think one is better than the other.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Yes, would love to hear your ideas.
I'll pick up the thread where, ma'am, you left it, right? And if I were to link it back to the larger conversation on complementarity, I'll pick it up from where you left in terms of the perfection conversation, right? What is the perfect mold? I don't think so anybody has the answer for it, because your sense of perfect might not be my sense of perfect, might be very different from somebody else's sense of perfect. And today, having spent 19 years working, I think I've always struggled with the idea that, okay, when you get onto a decision-making table, I have a serious issue with the idiom, who wears the pants? I might wear the pants, I might wear a sari, and I might still have a logical argument. But to expect, and I think that is, it's certainly a change that generation after generation after generation of employees are bringing to Forte. But when we talk about complementarity, I think to me the essence really lies in embracing who you are. Rather than following a set standard that, okay, what is a typical or what is a successful manager or a successful leader look like? Today, even if you give AI that answer, of course, responsible artificial intelligence set aside, the answer would be, it's typically a male, it's a white male, it's an assertive person, somebody who commands authority, somebody who can take decisions, somebody who can divorce emotions from facts. To me, it's not really the mold that anybody should strive to be, because everybody's leadership style is different. And to me, that is where complementarity really is about, one, understanding who you are, what is it that you bring to the table, and how can you rewrite what is required to bring your best self, not just for the organization, not just for anybody else, but for what you get out of it. And that is that confidence, that is the sense of purpose, that is the sense of having done something, sense of having achieved something. And I remember reading this is a Jacinda Ardern quote right after she resigned as the Prime Minister, that very often when people complimented her or spoke to her about the strong resolve, but also commented about the empathy she got to the role, she spoke about breaking the mold, and she was like, why can't a leader be both? I'll go back to the age-old dilemma of the evil of the or and the genius of the good, right? A genius of the and over the evil of or. I think as a woman who stepped into professional world 19 years ago, like I mentioned, I also, as a caveat, come from a fairly privileged background. There were no different rules for my brother or for me. Never really faced any kind of glass ceilings, so to say, initially. But, and this was an epiphany I came across somewhere in 2017-18, and I was in the middle of a leadership course that my previous organization had nominated me to. And a lot of women were speaking about the multiplicity of roles they have to play, the multiple roles that, or the multiple duties they have to essay when they are back at home, and therefore how that kind of impedes showing up in their full productive form at work day after day. I think my first reaction was, okay, you're just victimizing yourself. And that is when the moderator or the person, the trainer, he's like, you know what? If tomorrow you have to lead, you have to realize there are more realities than